Okay, guys, welcome back to BattaBox. Thank you for joining me this morning. For those of you watching, wherever you're watching from, you can leave that in the chat so we can get started with today's live stream. So, the question today is regarding the Nigerian Naira. What is going on with our dear Naira? What is happening? Like, if you look at the numbers and you see what has happened to the naira, you are going to be particularly surprised as how much the naira has lost its value in a very, very short time. I'm talking a matter of a year and about 3 months. So, for those of you just joining, welcome. This is BattaBox. Here we talk about all things Nigeria. And today I wanted to do something different than what we normally do. And we want to look at our currency, the Nigerian Naira. Waiting they happen to the Naira. This is something that will be very educative. So please stick around and feel free to like this video as you are coming in, and also tell me where you're watching from so that we can get familiarized with each other. So my name is Mike. I'm one of the presenters here on the channel, and today I want to look at the naira. Like, what is going on with the naira? What has happened to the naira? Because this is something that should really, really concern everybody, particularly if you're a Nigerian. You ask yourself, what happens to the naira? Like, the naira used to be one of the strongest currencies in Africa, and all of a sudden now they are telling us that the naira is one of the worst performing currencies in the whole continent. So what happened to the naira, and why is it that we are such a bad state right now? So don't take my word for it. The naira has officially crossed 1,700 naira to $1. So $1 equals to 1,700 naira, which really is a measure of more poverty, a measure of more doom, and a measure of more economic hardship for every single Nigeria on the streets of Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, wherever you are. So the first thing I want to do is to show you a chart. And again, like I said, this is for educated minds, and this is for people who want to learn. So if you are someone who is interested in learning, I'm going to do a deep dive analysis into what happened to the Naira. So stick around. You are going to learn a lot from this video. First thing I want to do is to show you a chart so that you can see for yourself how much the Naira has been bastardized. So I want you to stick around so you can see how much the Naira has been bastardized. So I'm sharing my screen now. And if you look at my screen, you are going to see what's going on with the Naira. So here we are. I'm going to pull up this chart. Okay, so you can see my screen now. So there are a lot of numbers on this computer. So, but don't worry about all of that. What we are just looking here is the time from 2020. You see the dates, time 2020, July 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 24, June. And we're right around here, which is around September 23, 2024. Now, I did a video in February of this 2024, and I projected that the Naira will continue to get worse. And I predicted an amount. So you guys should go and watch that video, because I talked about like what exactly is going on. So for those of you that have not subscribed to this channel, you are missing out a lot, because some of these analyses will just make you a little bit smarter, and you can at least learn one or two things from them. So here we have this table here. It's talking about basically you have the naira here, and somebody just sent me a message that what's the title of that video. So that video I did, let me quickly find out for that person. And for those of you just watching, I think it's called Naira Devaluation. I'm looking for it right now. So that video is called Naira Devaluation, and again, in that video, okay, the video is called The Shocking Future of Nigeria's Naira Devaluation. I think I can put a link to that in the chat comments. So let me go ahead and copy and drop a link in the comment section. For those of you that are here for the first time, thank you for joining. Today you are going to be learning a lot about the Naira. And if you are not Nigerian, this might also benefit you. So please stick around. So I just shared the link with that video. So, but don't go and watch it now. You can watch it later. So let us go back to our screen here. So here you have this is the Naira, but something very important happened, something life changing, something we have never seen in history. So it's it's something that should be annoying you right now. If you are watching this and you're Nigerian, you should be very, very concerned. You should be really, really, really very concerned. So what you have here is from 2020. And you see this line here is kind of flat. If you can see my screen, it's flat up until when you get to June 2023. Something very, very bad happened in June 2023. And if you take this chart and you go to, let's say, 5 years, this 5 years, let's go to all time. So this is all time. So right here, going back to 1998. So in the year 1998, it was 11 naira 25 kobo to $1. This is August 1997. August 1997, it was 11 naira 25 kobo to 1 naira. So August 1997, what was happening? I think August 1997, there was Abacha. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was General Sani Abacha was in office. June 12 had just happened. 1994. MQ Abiola just lost the election. King Igbe, all these guys, IBB, if you guys remember. So this was military regime. So during the military regime, in August of 1997, it was 11 naira to $1. And then we go back up until 1999. If you see something going on here, it was going on December 99. About December, I was, with the democracy happening around May 29, 1999. It was 19 naira during Obasanjo. So it's 19 naira to $1, right? So if you look at what is happening, this is what should make you not sleep at night. Between the time this was tracked, 1998, between 1998, yeah, it was about 70, in let's say August 97 was 78 naira, up to June of 2023. If you look here, you can see it was about 700 naira. Sorry guys, so let's say May, it was 700 naira. So you can see it goes from 70 naira to 700 naira. That is let's call it like 10 times, right? So because 70 times 10 is 700. So since the time this data was tracked, the naira has gone about 10 times, right? From 70 to 700. So that's about tenfold. Now, if you look at what happened from 700 to today, which again is about 1700, it has more than double. So more than double if you look at the number. So it's very, very scary that in just less than in a year, between May, June, let's say May, June 2003 to June, July, August, September. So in about 15 months, the naira has double. Okay, in about 15 months, more than double actually. It's about say 250%, 250 times. That particular thing that the 10x effect that took from say 97 to 2023, that's about 26 years. It took 26 years for the naira to tenfold. And at the rate we are going, if it is taking us just 18 months to go about 2.5 times, thereabouts, 16 months to go 2.5 times. That means that at that rate, in the next 3.5 years, the naira will be equivalent to what it was in the last 26 years. So what it took Nigeria to do in 26 years at the current rate, if we are to project that, because we say June to September, so that's 15 months, it's 2.5 times. Another 30 months, it'll be 5 times. Then in about probably 60 months, it'll be 4 times. So it's going to take about 5 years. Yes. So what took 26 years to achieve? Tinubu is going to achieve that in 5 years. unless something drastically happens or something changes. So every Nigerian should be very, very concerned that something that took 26 years, Jagaban wants to do it in about 4 or 5 years. So that is number one thing to look at. And if you also look at here, what is very important is around this June of 23, that's when the Naira started to take off. The Naira just started to, it started to take off negatively. The Naira started to become very, very weak. It became very, very weak and weaker and weaker and weaker. So I'm going to try and do an analysis and explain to you what exactly happened. Why did the Naira crash so catastrophically? And why is it that as of today, the Naira is 1,700? On my screen, you are seeing about 1,006. But just that's kind of like the open market before the market opened, like in the US or in the rest of the world. This is the forex market. But as of the time of this recording, is in the morning already in Nigeria, and it has crossed 1,007. So back to my analysis. What happened? Where did we go wrong? What are the mistakes that was made? And how can this issue be resolved? So if you guys remember, Nigeria is the largest or was the largest economy in all of Africa during Jonathan, when Jonathan was in office. We are very rich in oil. We have so much oil. Nigeria is the second, well, it fluctuates, second and third, right after Egypt, Angola, all those places, largest producer of crude oil. So how is it possible that Nigeria, that is so wealthy, that is so rich? In fact, some people have done analysis and they say places like Qatar, the amount of oil Nigeria has is so much. But if you travel to those countries, you not even know that you're in the desert. So with all our oil wealth, Nigeria should be awash with foreign currency. Why should we be awash? That means we should have boku foreign currency. Why should Nigeria have boku foreign currency? We should have boku foreign currency because oil is traded in dollars. That means if we are selling oil, which we have millions and millions and millions of barrels under our ground, if we have millions and millions of barrels of oil, that means Nigeria should be like one of the richest countries in the world. But how come we're one of the poorest as of the GDP statistics released by the first half of 2024? So this is because of years of economic mismanagement and wastage. Economic mismanagement and wastage. So if you remember that graph I showed earlier, how we are like accelerating in the next 5 years, we'll have gotten to the same record of what we had in the last 26 years by value of the Naira depreciation. So again, I repeat, it took 26 years for the Naira to 10x in terms of value against the dollars. It's going to take us, with the rate we are going, it will take us between 4 and 5 years to get to that, thanks to the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, like I was saying, we have so many natural resources. We have so many oil, so much oil. Oil is the major natural resource of Nigeria, and we found this after the British left. So, oil is traded in dollars, which means we need to have boku dollars. There's supposed to be lots of dollars in Nigeria, and the Naira should be stronger than the dollar. The Naira should be stronger than the dollar. You might ask yourself, why are we talking about this Naira dollar thing? For those of you that don't know, like I said, it's going to be very educative. And it's just like Naira devaluation 101. Everything in Nigeria today is imported. Well, I shouldn't say everything because the food, we make some food, but most every other thing is imported. And I stand corrected by that. So whatever you see in Nigeria is imported. And the dollars is the currency of foreign trade. The dollars is the currency of foreign trade. It's the currency that people, every country really uses the dollar to buy and sell, foreign exchange. So anything you want to buy from abroad, you are going to buy it in the dollars. So if our Naira is very weak against the dollars, what that means is that we will use a lot of our Naira to buy very few goods, which means inflation. I'll get to that later, but inflation is at a 30-year high. Think about that. Inflation is at a 30-year high. And the chart I showed earlier, I discussed 26 years. The 10x that achieved, 10x devaluation of the Naira was achieved in 26 years. Under Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is going to be achieved in 4 to 5 years. with the current trajectory. So yes, inflation is at a 30-year high. So in an attempt to fix this shortage, we're talking about the shortage of the dollars. In an attempt to fix this shortage of dollars, because of mismanagement and just again Buhari running the country to the ground, Tinubu relaxed the foreign exchange restrictions, and that has to do with pegging. You might ask, well, what is pegging? Again, we are all here to learn. Pegging is just a means whereby you artificially support your currency. In other words, let's say today, for example, naira is 1,007 to $1. What the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, used to do was to shock that like a shock absorber. Basically, every week the federal government was investing and putting a lot of they are putting a lot of the reserve. We have like a naira reserve. We have a dollar reserve rather. So they are artificially pumping in dollars. And it's think of it like we are putting dollars into the economy so as to stabilize into the forex rather, so as to stabilize the naira. So we can keep the naira at a fixed rate. We can keep the naira at a fixed rate. So I'm going to pull that graph up again, and I'll share that very, very quickly. And if you look at that graph again, you are going to see that if you look at that graph again, let me quickly share it again. I think it's this one. If you look at that graph again, you are going to see that all this area where it's flat, is almost flat, is because the government has always been trying to like artificially peg it. And that means they are pumping dollars back in. So we sell oil, the dollars we get, we are using dollars and we're using that dollars to shock the naira so that the naira does not run away. And that is costing the government money because that's dollars that can be used to do other things. So we have dollars we're using to peg the naira, and many countries peg their currency, by the way. China does it. A lot of countries do it. Nigeria is not the only one doing it. But so we have these reserves, which when Obasanjo was leaving, Nigeria had a lot of surplus. And Jonathan came in. Jonathan continued to peg. And by pegging, we artificially, in a way, fixing that exchange rate. By fixing the exchange rate, you, the common Nigerian, you benefit. Because then whatever you buy, if you want to buy a car, your naira is strong. Your naira is maybe naira at the time, like back in 2016, naira was 307 to $1. So as a Nigerian that earn minimum with 30,000 naira, basically you are earning like $100. With $100, you can buy more good stuff. You can buy many more things because, like I mentioned earlier, everything we do in Nigeria, we are importing everything we buy except food. Even most of the food, salt and some other things, we don't buy from Dangote, you are importing. And some of us like foreign stuff. So Nigeria is a consuming or consumption nation. So your 307 naira back in May 2016 will be equals to like $100, really. And with that, you can buy more stuff. With that, you can do more. And it affects many things like the price of petrol, it affects transportation, it affects electricity, it affects clothes, it affects feeding, it affects the whole of the economy. So someone who is for the people, who campaigned for the poor Nigerians to have a better life, how is it possible that that person will now decide to allow the naira to freely float? Basically, let the free market determine, which is a very, very catastrophic decision to be made. And it's something that the IMF and the World Bank have wanted to be done as a means of borrowing money to Nigeria. So if Nigeria wants to borrow money because they want to spend money on renovating the House of Assembly chair, the chair the people on the House of Assembly they are sitting, that chair is like 3 years old. And the House of Assembly people, they said, they sit down for 8 hours for 2 months in a year. So they need a nice chair. So they have to go and borrow money because Nigeria does not have enough dollars. When they go borrow money, IMF will say, in order for you to borrow money, this is your currency. We don't like ours. We are going to float it and punish the poor, hungry Nigerians, you and I. By floating that currency, the money that they were using to shock that the reserve, the foreign reserve, the question is, where is that money going? Like, where did all that money go? All the money they used to shock the reserve, like that money going. And what I want to say is that that money really goes into the pocket of the elite. So there was money that was set aside, like foreign reserves, This money is kept aside to do things like help peg the naira against the dollar. So Tinubu came into office and Tinubu said, this money that you guys are putting here and using to peg it is not a good idea. Let's use that money somewhere else. So they removed the money from the pegging and they allowed the dollar to just run away. They allowed the naira to run away. And that's exactly what happened. Marcel Donkubo, wow. When I was in Nigeria in 2002, naira was something like 250. Yes, thank you so much for that comment. I'm going to pin it. Yes, naira was something like 2 nairas. Naira was something like $2.50. Sorry. So the point is, the government decides that okay, this pegging. Think of it like you are at home and there's a pot of money that your father and your mother say, this pot of money, don't touch this money, leave that money, because that money is what we're using to pay for, say, electricity. So Tinubu now came and said, this money is here for electricity. It's not good for electricity. Let's remove that money. Let's use this to let's throw a party. So they use that money, and they throw a party. But now there are many Nigerians who are being penalized and they are suffering by means of this. So, like I was saying earlier, what you have is a government who is trying to fix this long-standing foreign exchange shortage. And by doing that, they said, okay, let's stop pegging the currency. The local naira currency has been pegged for years at an artificially high level against the dollar. That naira, by pegging, means that other Nigerians and every other Nigerian can benefit. You can have a better life. You can be able to afford the Toyota Corolla with 700,000 naira, which, by the way, a 2020 Toyota Corolla, I saw one last week that is going for 7 million naira. Just 4 years ago, that same Corolla was 2 million. Because we don't make Corollas in Nigeria, we don't make Toyotas in Nigeria, it's imported, and we need to buy it in dollars. But now that the naira has run away, thanks to Tinubu and the CBN governor, what you have is a situation whereby that's the Toyota Corolla now costs about 5 times more. So since this happened, which was in June of last year, June of 2023, naira has lost a whopping 70% of its value. So imagine a currency that is losing 70% of its value in just a matter of about 18 months. That should concern everybody. And you people should be asking, all of us, myself included, should be asking, what the hell is going on? How can one man just allow the currency to lose 70% of its value in a matter of 18 months? There are two things that is happening. In economics, they say there's a net zero or net neutrality. Basically, that means that when one person is losing, another person is gaining, because the market is like a closed system, meaning that as one person is losing, another person has to be gaining. As one person is gaining, another person is losing, has to be losing. So if the naira is losing 70% of its value and Nigerians are being robbed, really, every naira you have in a bank account has depreciated by 70%. Your naira has lost 70% of value. That 70% of the value is going into the pocket of some people. So by essence of that analogy, those people are 70% richer. So there are very few people, very few elite cabal that have gotten 70% richer in order for the 210 million Nigerians to be 70% poorer. Now, Tinubu's goal was to trigger an influx of foreign capital, and eventually he said he wants to make Nigeria an attractive investment destination. So by allowing the naira to go with the free market, what that means is that Nigeria saves on the short term. Saves because remember that money that was set aside, the pool of money that was used to be, keeping the light on in my example in the house, and just to keep the naira afloat for everybody. So this Tinubu and his policy removed that money and they use that money to somewhere else to be able to do other things, right? But by doing other things with that money, what happened is that the naira now ran away, and then people lose all the value of the money by 70%. Question now goes is why? And the reason he said he was doing it was because he wants to trigger an influx of foreign capital and making Nigeria a more attractive investment destination. That sounds like a good idea on the surface, because for countries like China, that peg their currency, and Nigeria now, or Nigeria before the removal of this policy by Tinubu, some investors have this belief that if I buy something for, let's say, I bring $100 from say America, and I bring it to Nigeria, I want to invest in pure water business. If I take the 100 naira and I put inside pure water business, and then when I say do pure water, and then that 100 naira become 200 naira, and I want to take my 200 naira back to America, $200 rather, back to America, because the country is artificially fixing the price of the naira by using those reserves. The country can decide one day and say, this $200, because you, the American that came, you are going to convert to $200. You're going to convert it into naira. So let's say at that point, to make it simple, let's say it's 1 naira per dollar. So you have your 200 naira now, right? Which is $200 in this case. When you want to take that money back and you want to return it back to America, Nigeria can say, you know what? I used to be 1 per 1 before, dollar per naira. I'm going to make my naira 2 naira to $1. If I make my 2 naira to $1, when you are going out with your 200 naira, you now have $100, because Nigeria has changed it. Nigeria just, they are basically artificially pumping money in to keep a rate, to fix a rate. So the government, as you saw in the chart, has always kept that flat rate of 600. Later it was 400. As things move on, as the reserve fluctuates, because we are buying and selling oil in the open market, and reserve is going up and down. It's going up and down. We are pumping and pumping. So Tinubu's idea is that investors will be afraid. That investor I told you that did pure water, the pure water I did was 200 naira, and he took that 200 naira, and then he wants to take it out of his country. If Nigeria changes his mind and say, now, Oga investor, sorry, your $2, yeah, 2 naira now worth $1. You that came in with 100 naira, and then you made 100 to make 200. When you are leaving the country, it's like you left with 100 naira, so you didn't really make any profits. So some investors are afraid of that. But historically, before this is policy, a lot of foreign investors have been coming to Nigeria. And if you look at a place like China, China is one of the most industrialized country in the world, even though the fact that it's pegging its currency. So you now begin to wonder, is the government's agenda genuine? Because the agenda is basically, by devaluing the naira, it appears they enrich their pockets. Because like I said earlier, net neutrality means it's a closed system. As somebody's losing, somebody's gaining. There are winners and losers. Every time someone is winning, someone is losing. So the Nigerians are losing 70% of the naira that they put before May 2029, 2023. And we're in September now, and they've lost 70%. Some people are gaining that 70%, number one. And number two, the idea of the government is want to bring foreign investors, because some foreign investors are skeptical and they're afraid that because Nigeria is fixing this naira, there's a possibility that Nigeria will just one day change his mind and mess them up, which again has not proven to happen. Now, the near-term impact of this is that inflation is at a near 30-year high. When inflation is high, the cost of living is very high, and it just causes a lot of pandemonium. Is that a word? Yeah, a lot of pandemonium everywhere, because everything is very expensive. Many Nigerians now are not even driving or entering the public transportation. They are trekking, because they cannot afford to go to work because of the price of fuel. And also, this fuel is also scarce. So there's a huge shortage of petroleum. And I'll talk about Dangote in a minute and why that's not even best for, or good for Nigerians. I know many people have the opinion that Dangote is the best thing to happen to Nigeria. But I've done a few videos saying Dangote is actually a very bad idea for Nigeria. And I will say there are two reasons why I say that. Number one reason Dangote is a very bad idea for Nigeria is because Dangote is an investor and a monopolist for that matter. So if you look at historically, he entered the cement business, he dominated the cement business, and there's no free market. When one man comes and say, oh, he uses government connection to get cement, a lot of people lost their jobs, their livelihood, their businesses at the expense of just one man. Look at salt, Dangote flour, Dangote sugar. A lot of the things he's doing, he's working with the government to give him like a tax rebate or to give him a tax cut, whereas the common Nigerian does not have these benefits. Even with this Dangote Refinery, you people are excited about. Besides the fact that it's only going to benefit and have a return on investment, what you are going to notice about it is that a few things. Number one, Dangote himself has been subsidized and helped by the government. He's the only person that will sell to NNPC from his refinery, and he can only sell to NNPC only at an agreed price. Even though it gets complicated when you talk about the economics of that, and the government will fix an exchange rate for him. And meanwhile, NNPC is also owned 20% of Dangote Refinery, even though NNPCL hasn't done that. The point is that inflation is very high. The cost of petroleum, another reason why Dangote is bad, is that when Dangote Refinery opened, guess what? Bosa, they increased the price of oil. They increased the price of PMS, which is petroleum. So should Dangote Refinery, that is supposed to be good for us, lead to an increment in petrol prices? So I don't know as now they think like a lot of this stuff that like robbery in daylight. So a country that is dependent on petroleum and which is bought in dollars, well, some people say, well, Dangote is going to be relieving, it will give us a relief because we buy in foreign reserves, foreign currency. We are going to buy in Naira now. And that is yet to be seen because the government gave him a good rate so he can profit. And the benefit of that is yet to be seen. The point I'm trying to make is that all these policies of the current administration that are put in place in the name of benefiting Nigerians is actually causing more damage, because we know since 1998, like I showed you in the beginning of this live, since 1998 or 2003, the government had reserves whereby it was basically pegging the currency, the naira to the dollar. And now this administration removed that in the name of, bringing foreign investors. And that is actually, investors are fleeing like worse than ever before. So none of these policies are working, and it's not helping the economy. So despite Nigeria being Africa's largest oil producer, the economy has been stagnant since Tinubu took over. And it is actually stagnant even going back to when Buhari was in power. We are rich in resources, but these resources have been plundered by the political elite. What's going on now is basically a few people that are ruling. Look at what happened in Edo State. The recent election election that happened in Edo State. Just political thuggery, political godfatherism, and excess rigging, buying votes with your money. So corruption is just an endemic that is very rampant in the country, and even many state institutions, they are dysfunctional. What do you want to talk about? Is it PHCN or the distribution companies, those guys that distribute electricity, NEPA, just about everything doesn't work. Even the passport office, where you just go to get a passport, you go there, they will say there's no passports. So corruption is like everywhere. It was very bad during Jonathan. During Buhari, it got worse. It has gotten worse now. And INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, failed even again in the recent Edo election. Then you have armed banditry, a lot of insecurity, Islamist militants roaming the country, and all these herdsmen basically going about without impunity. Security, businesses cannot function because there's no security. Businesses cannot function because there's no electricity. Businesses cannot function because the roads are bad. About 40% of more than the 220 million people, they live in dire poverty. So think about that, 4 out of every 10. And this is according to World Bank, not even my own data. And this higher cost of living had made things very, very worse. So imagine the only thing we have as Nigerians is the Naira. That's like the only thing that we have going for us. The only thing we have is the Naira. But now you have a Naira that is just a Naira that is just allowed to roam free. And the government, the money that was supposed to use to peg the Naira, those funds, they are taken away and they are being distributed among themselves and being distributed among the ruling class. So those that are ruling, they are just like robbing the money that was put in their care. It's like taking a chicken house, and you're making a fox. You are making a fox. You are making a fox. Told you, Baba. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, Baba. Yeah, thanks. Um, he said, Nigeria don't collapse. I'm going to pin that. Yeah, Tito, I really appreciate that. One of our loyal followers and subscribers. Yeah, Nigeria don't collapse. Yeah, please, guys, can feel free to leave your comment there, and I'll pin it. So Nigeria has collapsed. So the only thing we have is the Naira. So yeah, welcome, Sitoju. The only thing we have is the Naira, and this Naira is actually like they are robbing the Naira. How can you rob Naira? Omo, Nigeria budget. And then here we are going about acting like there's nothing happening. The world is fine. God is going to save us. And where you have a country whereby in the last 18 months, just the last 18 months, 40% of the 200 million people have been plunged into further poverty, because the last thing you have is the Naira, but that Naira is being robbed in daylight. Dollar shortage persists. Business also face constant policy regarding uncertainty, power outages, like I talked about earlier. So another thing you need to reason and imagine is the government used 68% of the revenue collected in the first half of 2024 to service debts. So, God, I don't even know how to explain this in English. May I talk about pidgin? Okay, so you borrow money, okay, you borrow 1 naira, but that 1 naira where you borrow, now only 30 kobo if you use inside, but you they owe 70 kobo out of that. Well, they've gotten rid of kobo and naira. Let's just say 100 naira. I want to buy, I don't know, I want to buy a phone. The phone is 100 naira, but I don't have money. So I can't go borrow 100 naira from person. The person why I borrow 100 naira say, that 100 naira why I borrow, now only 30 if he give me. So he's going to give me 30 naira out of that 100 naira. The other 70 naira that remain, I'll use it to borrow the 100 naira. Which kind of person will get sense? Go they borrow 30 naira, but they pay 70 naira to borrow 30 naira. That's exactly what's going on in Nigeria today. The government is using 68% of the revenue collected to service the debt. So how long do you think that will work before you go broke when you are using more than double? So really, like, it's just bad. The whole thing is just really, really, really bad. So the central government, used to play what they call an orthodox role, that's CBN, and it provides loans to small businesses. It provides it has this BDC. It has it has it has it has multiple exchange rates like under Emefiele. A lot of things that were done by Emefiele that is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Emefiele is a saint, but the idea was that these things that he did, he made the unofficial currency, that's the black market, to thrive, and that made the naira more weak. So there are some people that say because you had a lot of BDC, so that's Bureau de change. Let me try and explain this a different way. So what happened is some people have license under Emefiele, this BDC, Bureau de change license. That license allow you to get, say, $1,000 every week. Every week you go to CBN, you get $1,000. That's a license to get, and there are many people that have this license. They're very connected people. So, but when you get that $1,000, you are getting it at the CBN rate. At the time, CBN rate was 400 naira. So you spend that's about 40,000 or 400,000 naira. You buy, $1,000, whatever the math turns out to be. But then you now turn around and go to the black market and you sell it for 800 naira. So there were a few people that were doing this, and these people that were doing this, they were doing what they call economic arbitrage. I give you 400 naira, I buy 400, I sell for 800 in the same market. I don't even need to go somewhere else. in the same market. So that extra 400 naira is my profit. So there was a concern that these few people, they are driving a black market rate. Because they are driving a black market rate, that is why, one of the reasons why the current government decide to let the naira just float, whatever, because they want to punish these few people. And that's my problem with our leaders in Nigeria. They take a very few amount of people, say a country of 220 million people. How many licenses are there? Maybe there are 10,000 licenses. I don't know the number. I could probably Google it, but I don't want to because that's not the point. So if you can look it up, you can let me know in the stream, in the chat, and I'll kind of refer to that. But point is, 220 million people, but there are 10,000 in this example, people that are doing this roundabout. So these 10,000 people, they are making small, they are making some money because they are buying it from the black market at 400 naira, but then they go around. So they're buying it from CBN at 400 naira. They go on the black market, they sell it for 800. So what the government decided to do is, these 10,000 people, we need to punish them. We are going to punish them. So we punish these 10,000 people at the expense of 200 million people. That is something that I don't like about this our current government. They take 10,000 people, punish the 10,000 people, but then the 200 million people, they suffer. Meanwhile, the government itself is robbing and stealing people by the billions. Like I talked about earlier, your naira has lost 70%. Your naira has lost 70% in the last 18 months. That 70% went into the hands of a very, very few people. The value that I could have had, a very, very few people got richer. So in a way, it's another form of taxation. Inflation, they say, is a form of taxation. So here they are, they want to punish these 10,000 license holders. And in the extent, by extension, 200 million people are suffering. This is the same thing they are doing with the fuel subsidy. This is not a topic about fuel subsidy. Maybe another day I'll do an in-depth analysis of fuel subsidy. But what you have is, they are saying that people are buying petrol in Badagry and they are going to Benin Republic and selling it. Or people are buying petrol in Kano or whatever, and they are going to Angola or somewhere up north, just up north, like say Niger or wherever, to sell it. So because of these few people that are buying and selling oil, they buy it because they say we have the cheapest oil in the region. Because of these few people, now you are going to punish 200 million people by making fuel not only scarce, but also very, very expensive. So again, another thing, it does not even make sense at all. The whole thing, just the whole Nigerian experiment, these guys are making it worse and worse and worse and worse. And then Dangote, who is supposed to be the messiah of some people, came out and said the government should remove subsidies. He did an interview with like a few days ago with a foreign news station, saying that the subsidies should be removed. So it's just, the whole thing does not even make sense. So the question is, as we move forward, what's going to be done to turn things around? Like, how can things be better? Because it's like we are stuck by the hand of these bad leaders and people that don't even care about the common man. They don't care about what you are going through. So what can be done in a situation like this? What are you going to do? You have a very bad government who doesn't care about you. You have a deaf government that does not even send you. So what are you going to do? Like, what's the plan? So many people have left the country. Many people have just jackpot. They're like, Omo, this Nigeria is not making sense for us. And they just like, they left the country. I don't know the numbers, but there are so many people in the UK that at one point, people in the UK started complaining that what's going on in Nigeria? Why are there so many Nigerians here? As recent of last year and the year before, the UK have started changing their laws and policies to reduce this inflow of migration. So Nigerians are everywhere. They are leaving the country. So one option is you can leave the country, but not everybody have the means to leave the country. Not everybody have the means, and not everybody even wants to leave the country. Some people don't want to leave the country because things are very hard. Some people don't want to leave the country because omo elule, borrow. People don't have money. So people are like, I don't want to leave the country. What am I going to do? So, and this is for you. Like, what are you going to do? If you're in a situation whereby things are so bad within within days of taking office, Tinubu scrapped the popular fuel subsidy that cost the government, according to him, $10 billion in 2022. And then, he made a lot of changes. But the issue is, we have been told recently that subsidies are still in place. So the government is not being transparent. NNPC is not being transparent. They are basically plundering our future. They are plundering the future of our children. And Olayemi Kadoso, that's the CBN, is on the thumbnail. He's basically increased interest rates by 800 basis points to 26.75% since he took office in September 2023. So this is another thing that is very important, like interest rates. Interest rates are so high. You cannot be bank. You can't go to the bank and go and borrow money. Not only will they put tracking device on you, not only will they try and shame and harass all your family, even though you have a COO or everything, these banks will give you money at 27%, 30%, in some cases 40%. So there's no way for, even if you are like, I can't leave the country, I want to start a business, but I don't know anybody. The bank is supposed to lend. I don't need to know somebody at the bank. I don't need to be connected. I don't need to be influential. I don't need to know the bank manager or be from his tribe for him to be able to give him money. I'm just in Nigeria and I should be able to get money without any connection. And then the government is discussing selling oil in Naira to Dangote, who's built this refinery, blah, 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 so as to cripple the imports, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And this means the refinery could also be something that we depend on by ending up leaving our own refineries. Remember, we have 4 refineries, Port Harcourt, Warri, and then I think there's one in Kano, Kaduna. But basically, our refineries are being abandoned so we can focus on that of the billionaire to get him richer. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What you need to do, well, I'm not going to say pray or not say pray or say pray, not say pray. I don't know. Some of you are religious, and Nigeria is a very religious country, and they pray a lot. So, if prayer is your thing, you should go ahead and pray. If prayer is your thing, you should go ahead and pray. But if you are more pragmatic and want to take things into your hand, what you need to do is to try your very best to vote for elections, try and vote during the elections, follow the electoral process, don't sell your votes, and just hope for the best. And if you are praying, pray and hope for the best. So I know some of you might be like, well, is this all of this? Is this what Tinubu is doing? Is this going to work? Now, what I can tell you for sure is the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank, they have been very happy with these changes. And they've given Nigeria more money. So really, you have the oppressive regime oppressing its people, while the outside organizations are very happy and they're rewarding them. The funny thing, or the annoying thing I should say, is that these rewards that they are getting, the money is being squandered on private jets, on building VP house, on First Lady this, and just wasting, just wasting money anyhow. People had some hope that when Tinubu does this, that things will get better. Even I had the hope. And like I said, those of you just joining the stream, I did a video earlier in February of 2024 talking about this, and I predicted the direction that things are going to go, and things are going that direction, very sadly. And that is why you need to follow us on this channel. If you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe, because we have some really, really insightful analysis like we are doing today. Foreign investors, unfortunately, are not happy with the free fall of the Naira. Nobody wants to touch Nigeria. And even those that were left behind, or the japa, can I say that? Yeah, they've jackpot out of Nigeria. So because the weakness of this currency is keeping people, like investors that want to invest, they are keeping them at a distance. They are like, okay, let me wait. Let's see what's going to happen. So this thing, like I said in my video back in February, is a two-edged sword. I put a link on the video in the chat. It's a two-edged sword. If you do it properly, it can win. But if you do it badly, you're going to suffer. If you remember, Tinubu did this because he was concerned that investors are afraid that we're pegging. Some say it's manipulating. they say we are artificially manipulating our currency, which many countries in the world do that. And if you are a developing country that you don't have any other resource that you are making, you don't have any product to sell in dollars, you don't have any exports other than crude oil. Now the grace of God, they hold Nigeria, because if the price of crude oil falls like it did during Jonathan's era, we are toast. Like, well, it don't finish, man. Like Ibilo Makusi. I don't even remember that song, Mario. Ta -ta 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 -ta. Like, if the oil, because that's our only dependency, if that oil falls, like, I don't know, man. Like, only God will help all of us. So, like I said, the two-edged sword. He was saying that he wants to do it so as to attract investors, because some investors are saying, you people are manipulating your currency, which is just some BS thing anyway, because people are investing in China, in Taiwan, all these countries, most of them peg their currency, and they go and invest anyway. You understand? So apart from that, if the currency is floating like it is and is allowed to run away, just like it's doing now, investors are even worried, if I can say that, they're more worried, because they're like, I don't want to touch that country. I don't want to touch that country, because this concessional funding from multilateral lenders basically is supposed to help improve the dollar supply picture. Unfortunately, these investors are not coming. Tinubu went to China the other day to make Xi Jinping and say, "Oh yeah, China, I beg you, come and invest." He's trying to do all these travels so that people can invest, but those ones themselves, there's a problem with that, because when China sends its people, when China give you money, you send its people, and only a few people are the ones that benefit. So it doesn't really benefit the common man. So I'm like, how is it? Why is it so hard to run Nigeria? Like, I don't understand why it's so complicated. This is economics 101. If you go secondary school, they teach you economics. This is somebody, the president, who claimed to be educated in Chicago State University. This is not hard to do. It's just as simple as I analyzed it. You are trying to do this to attract investors, but now the investors, unfortunately, they are running away. And even those investors gone to buy more, like at the end of the day, they don't benefit the common man. CCC does not hire Nigerians as supervisors. They don't hire Nigerians as managers. They hire Nigerians for laborer, the educated Nigerians that can have a minimum wage. CCC will not hire them. When CCC give you the Chinese contracting company, when they give you all these loans they are going about to beg up and down for, when those loans, when they come to the country, they will bring like 1,000 Chinese men to follow, to improve the lives of the people. Then the Nigerians that they can hire, the graduates that are smart, those graduates, they end up not hiring them. Instead, what do? They hire their own people. And apart from that, even those that are getting those contracts, they are those elites. They are those political elites. You see how fucked we are? Like, sorry, I shouldn't say that. You see how messed up we are? Like, how messed up we are? Plans by the government for a Eurobond issue was later postponed because they were going to get Eurobond issue and all that. They didn't do that anymore because there's just a problem where the government is not thinking straight. The government is not thinking straight. More than 700 manufacturing companies shut down in the first quarter of last year. According to the industrial association. I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't laugh about this. I should not laugh about this. Drug maker GSK. I can't see their name. GlaxoSmithKline or whatever. They make pharmaceutical consumer goods and all that. If you go around, I think Anthony, and this by Obanikoro, all that area, you are going to see all these industries. They are there. Those guys, all of them, they've jackpot. Procter and Gamble, they've jackpot. A lot of international businesses, they've left the country. Because why? Because there's a shortage of dollars. Because of our currency devaluation, which make our naira much more weaker. But our naira being weaker, we don't have enough naira to buy dollars. So it's just kind of like nothing makes sense. Nigeria matter, like you can't put it on your head too much. If you put it on your head too much, it's just going to like affect you. So if interest rates are about 30%, inflation are about 40%, inflation is 30-year high, It now begs the question, like, what is the true minimum wage? If minimum wage is 30,000 naira, is it that minimum wage is more like 7,000 naira? Like, things are really, really, really bad, but nobody's reporting this. And people are just going about, like, that book that I read in primary school that said the emperor is naked, but they don't born you what to say emperor is naked. Like, things are really, really bad. And as the naira continues to run away, as the naira continues to run away, like, and continue to rise, it now begins to wonder, like, when is a change going to happen, and what is going to take for this government to revert its policies, and for the government to realize that, oh my, this thing is not working. It's not working. People are dying every day in hospital wards because the Ministry of Health cannot take care of citizens. Even the government themselves, our leaders themselves they themselves cannot even stay in the country for medical care. Look at the Ministry of Education with ASU strike and everything. Ministry of Power, they are increasing tariffs. So the whole case is just something that makes somebody to wonder if these Tinubu's policies, if they can survive. I don't know if we'll survive, but I could be wrong. We are making this content, it's going to stay up there, and we'll see. By what I said in February already, things are trending in according to the projection, because it's not Fela said to me, said the more you look, the less you see. Because when you try to understand these people, you start to see less because it's not making sense again. You start scratching and say, Amo, Kilon Shell, like, is this policy, is it really good? And is it leading to a stronger economy? Is it leading to a more inclusive economy? Inclusive in the sense that every Nigerian has a fair shot. Is it really something that is benefit, because many Nigerians are struggling to afford even the basic necessities, and that's piling pressure on the government to show policy changes. But the government is not listening. They are not listening. At least 21 people died during the end bad government's protest, and that's one that we can reports. Now there's another one they are saying that will happen in October 1. And should you blame the protesters for this concern? Should you really blame them, given how the government is tone deaf and is not listening to anybody? The government just does whatever they want, and I believe at the end of the day, history will tell. Maybe this was a good policy. I believe history will tell, and it's something that Nigerians really, we all need to pay attention to this, and we all need to be concerned. So please, do me a favor, share this video if you find any value in it, and let's educate ourselves, because the only power we have, like I said earlier, what can you do? Another thing you can do is to educate yourself, get information. But it's not helpful if I have to spend 30,000 naira to stream this video, 3 or 4 of this video, the data is gone. 30,000 naira is somebody's salary for 1 month. Data is freakingly expensive. NEPA or PHCN or whatever, Ikeja Electric, all the discos, those guys are robbing us like in daylight. Electricity is not constant. And then if you don't have a prepaid meter, there's this thing called Band-Aid, whereby they just be charging you anyhow, left and right. So how can somebody survive in this kind of environment? And more importantly, you have the Naira that is devaluating every day. The Naira is losing value. In fact, this is like a 1 hour stream, and I can tell you that in the last hour, the Naira lost more value. You can see right here. By the time I started, right now you're at about 1702. So it's something that you should be concerned about. It's something that you should worry about. And it's something that if I were in office, I would be like, what have these people been doing since 1998? This is the all-time chart. Since 1998, as of August 1, 1997, actually, it was 116 naira to $1. This was all artificial pegging during the military era. Was the military even better? Some people are debating the military better than democracy, because under the military era, you see how flat this naira is. You see how flat it is. It was only in 2009 it started to go up. It started to go up, and then it went up again, and now it has just taken an astronomical peak, and we don't know where the end is. We don't know where the end is. So, guys, I just want to say that, like I said, in summary, educate yourself. What you need to do, educate yourself, inform yourself if you can, follow the due process votes. Don't sell your votes like many people did in Edo State this past weekend. It doesn't even matter anyway, because some people, they'll still rig regardless. And what you want to do doesn't matter, or who you vote for doesn't matter. And then there's people calling for a peaceful revolution. There are some people calling for a peaceful revolution because maybe that's what we need. And then the protest is coming October 1. I know that Shore and his people, they are organizing. Why is it that most of us, we did not come out to protest? The only time the protest died was when Tinubu came out and said, "Oh, I'm not going to listen to you or do anything about." Then the protest died. The Northerners who are plagued by hunger, those are the guys who even protested more, because at least they had food to eat. But now the banditry and the people just taking over their land, they don't have food. They can't grow food anymore. So it's just something that is depressive, and I think that people should be aware, and it should be participate, inform, educate yourself. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please follow us on all our social media platforms and continue to follow us here at BattaBox. If you are watching this as a live, always check the live tab. Sometimes we have videos up, and sometimes we have live. We do live streams like this. So check the live for the latest, and please share this with someone that I think might find value in it. And those of you watching, like the video. Please like the video. It helps the algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you guys for being here. I'll catch you on the next live stream. Bye, guys.